we all had a productive week.
Yes. How are you doing?
Good morning, Jenny.
Yeah, good morning. So I'm sure you all are doing well.
Yes.
And happy Easter. Yeah, happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you too.
Yeah, thank you. Which you same.
You're welcome. Okay, yeah, so for last week, because there are some new participants joining us for the first time today. So for last week we discussed about can anyone let me know say, can anybody just brief, like summarize what we discussed last week Saturday in our first class? Just like a summary of everything we mentioned, everything we discussed, just a summary. Who can help us out? Nobody?
Okay, yeah, so last week we started with the basics of UI UX design, getting the difference between the two and how both of them are connected. Yeah, the similarities between the two. And we discussed some of the best practices for designing as well. Of course, talking about alignment and several other things. And of course, I think some of the points then were about consistency and simplicity of your interface. So what else did you discuss? And yeah, it was basically that. Yeah, basically that. And of course, we were given a take home to complete. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Sandra. Yeah, you nailed it. Yeah, so last week we just basically tell us the difference between UI UX, what they actually mean, what is UI and what is UX, and how you can align your work and make your interface simple so it doesn't get clustered together. Okay, so for this morning we'll be talking about spacing, because if you check our curriculum, we'll see that the next topic to be treated there is spacing. So now I will share my screen so we can actually start the class in full. Let me share my screen. All right. Coming. I'm coming. Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So today we'll be talking about spacing. We already know the difference between UI UX. We already know what it means. We know how to make our interface simple, and we talk about alignment also yesterday. So I said yesterday, sorry, last week Saturday. So for this morning we're talking about spacing. So what is a spatial system? A spatial system is a set of rules for how you measure size and space your UI elements. Uniformity on the spatial level allows the product to be more consistent. One of the easiest ways to clean up a design is to give every element a little more room to breathe. When designing for the web, white space is almost always added to a design. If something looks a little too cramped, you should add a bit of margin or padding until things look better. Okay, now let me explain all this, my grammar. You know, when we are designing, or let me say when you start designing, as a beginner, you really do not know much about spacing. You tend to just add everything together, and it looks too clustered. It looks just like everything is just no spacing, the designs can't breathe and all that. So spacing is one element of it's one principle of design, principle of UI design that should be really considered when you're dealing with your interface design, because spacing makes your work looks neat. It directs the user's eye to your design, and it also aids, it increase readability. Spacing increase readability. It makes your work look clean. For example, now this slide I'm presenting, you guys can see the spacing, right? You can see the spacing in the text, in the content. It makes it readable. Anyone can actually read this content I'm presenting, because the spacing is it's even, right? It's even and it's actually clear to anyone who wants to read it. Not too much and not too little. Do you understand? So using space effectively in your UI layout helps increase readability, provide feedback, and draw the reader to the most important part of the screen. Good visual hierarchy isn't about wild and crazy graphics or the newest Photoshop filters. It's about organizing information in a way that's usable, accessible, and logical to the everyday site visitor. Now, I will use this as an example also, this content I'm presenting. We can see the visual hierarchy here. How do we know the hierarchy? The first element on this slide, which is the spacing, the first element on the content, which is the spacing as a whole, I mean the spacing as a text. We can see that it's more bigger, right? Like it looks more bigger and bold. The font weight is bold. Now the next element under spacing itself as a word, what is the spatial system? We can see that it's kind of smaller to spacing as a block text. So what is the spatial system reduced in? It's not bold, it's semi-bold. The font weight is semi-bold. So this is visual hierarchy. Now the next content, the next element after what is the spatial system, it's now in regular size. So do we understand what I'm trying to explain?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. Awesome. So when you're designing, you should be conscious of spacing, and because it aids visual hierarchy also. Your content, even if you are not putting anything like no images, no graphics, nothing, if it's just text, it should be attractive also. When you're designing, especially when you're fintech, for example, a fintech product, you can't add images. You really can't add images like that, unless probably you want to design a credit and debit card or whatever. What can you also design from scratch on a fintech product that can make you use something like image? You really don't use image on fintech products unless probably you want to design their credit or debit card, right? Or probably maybe you just for the splash screen, maybe you want to use image or illustration or whatever. But it's mostly text. Fintech products are mostly filled with text and icons. So now what makes your design attractive even for you using just text mainly is spacing. Spacing makes it attractive to anyone who's seeing it for the first time. And also this spacing shouldn't be too much. It shouldn't be too much. It shouldn't be too little. It should be that is what we call the spatial system. So spatial system is like you have a kind of measurement you're using. Let me just put it that way. You have a measurement, how you measure your spacing. You have a measurement you are using. So the last paragraph, space is what helps designers create visual breathing room for the eye and makes users want to stay on the page. It can also help to suggest function and create emphasis for important content, just like the slide I'm presenting. The spacing here helps us to create emphasis on important content. Now when I look at my right content, the content on the right hand side, I have two images there. The first one is wrong because this spacing is really too much. It is not even it doesn't actually follow the measurements. I'll talk about spacing measurements now. The one I use and the one that is actually professionally standard for anyone to use. I'll measure it along the line. So this is what this first one, the first image up here, it's actually wrong because this spacing is not adequate. Like it's not consistent. Yeah, let me use that. It is not consistent. Now the second one is actually much more better and is consistent. How? The second one is a spacing of 8 pixels and multiples of 8. Now, spacing gives the page a harmonic look. It decides what you want them to pay attention to. If you know the principle of spacing, you can use it in all your product design and it makes you a professional. This second one it's designed 8 pixels and multiples of 8. The first one this first one that I cancelled. It is just as in the spacing is just based on vibes. Like the first one can be 8, the next one 12, the next one 13, 15, and which means it's actually very wrong. Your spacing should follow a certain measure. Like your spacing should have a standard, which is 8 pixels. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I said I want to say. 8 pixels. It should be 8 and multiples of 8. Your spacing should be 8 and multiples of 8. That is 8, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64. So as it depends on what you're creating. Like if you're having this element now, this design, the spacing between the 5-star and 50 customer reviews shouldn't be 76. It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be 76. It shouldn't be 56. It shouldn't be 48. It is too much. It shouldn't even be 32. It is too much. But how do you know it is too much? Me, I know it is too much now, at least logically in my head, because I'm used to this thing. But you now just starting out. How do you know this spacing you're giving your work is too much? When you do first go on a long space first, like give it more space, and I mean more, probably from this 5-star, the 50 customer reviews and 5-star, the space between them, let's assume you give it 48 at first. Then you now look at it, like you now sit down, you look at it again, like you're looking at it like, is this spacing much? Is this spacing too small? Something should tell you that that spacing is too much. Then you look at it, okay, the one present there is 48, right? Then you look at it, okay, let me reduce it to 32. That is, you took away 8. It should be addition of in multiples of 8. So when you want to add it, it should add like 8. Like if it's presently 8, if you want to increase it, it should be 16. If you want to reduce it, it should be 8. Do you understand? So now give it a kind of long spacing measurement first. But when you now start looking at it, when you look at it very well, and you see that this thing really doesn't make sense. This spacing is too much, because much spacing also makes your design, it makes your design unprofessional. If the spacing is too much, it makes your design unprofessional. So you need to know how to find a balance. And the one, the advisable one, the standard one I will advise you to use is the 8 points. 8 pixel, 8 and multiples of 8. So now let's go to the next slide. Principles of spacing. Yeah, so vertical spacing. The first principle is a vertical axis spacing. In websites or mobile, there are the list with 3 formats, including large spacing, medium spacing, small spacing. Spacing as little as possible. You shouldn't subdivide it into much. This spacing will go through design to keep consistency in your project. You know, I mentioned being consistent, and when you're using this 8 pixel spacing now, it makes your work consistent, because everything you're doing, it's, you know, you're measuring it by 8. If you're giving like this work now, this spacing here on this slide, it is actually 16. Everything is 16. The spacing between principles of spacing and vertical spacing is 16. Let me show you guys. Let me show you how it's being measured on Figma, so you can see it. Let's go to Figma board. All right. I want to show you how it's being measured, how you can see your spacing, that, oh, okay, you're getting sorry, it's loading. All right, we are here, right? Okay, so look, I'm sure you guys can see this, guys. You can see this, you can see my screen.
Yeah.
You can see the Figma board. Okay. All right, so I want to highlight vertical spacing. If you want to know the measurements of your spacing, you need to highlight the elements you want to check. So now I'm highlighting the vertical spacing. You hold shift, the shift on your keyboard, you hold it, you click on shift, hold it, then you click on the next one, the next element you want to check. So I've clicked on that. Now this is where you see, you guys should see where my cursor is. This is where you see the spacing. You can see where my cursor is. This is 16, right? If you can see it. Can you guys see it?
Yes. Yes, I can see it.
All right, so this is where you see like, oh, okay, let me even check the numbers of spacing, like the my measurements. Let me check it. This is where you will see it. You need to highlight the elements you want to check. Highlight it first, then you press shift, then you highlight the second element, then you come here. Your eyes will come here. Your eyes should just come here straight. This right hand part of your Figma board. This is where you see the number of spacing. So this is 16. Now the next one also, let's highlight this content, this particular content. Hold click on shift, highlight this one also, you can see that it is 16 as well. So that is actually consistency. In your spacing, you need to be consistent. That is 16 as well. If you come here also and click on this place, you can see that it is 16 also. So if you are using 16, like the spacing between your content, use 16. If you want to use 32, use 32 all through. If you want to use 24, use 24 all through. If you want to use 8, use 8 all through. But the thing is, anything you're doing should be 8 and multiples of 8. And if you know it is getting too much, if you use 32, I see that, oh, this spacing is too much, reduce it to 24. If you see that you use 24 and you see that it is still too much, reduce it to 16. So you are reducing it by 8. And if you want to increase it also, you increase it by 8. All right. So let's continue. Large spacing. To adapt to a large amount of information, and so they need wide spaces to separate elements. For example, okay, I did not have the image. So this is a content actually. This is a text. This is a text with title. Let me show us large spacing. Let me show us an example of large spacing. I think I'll need to go and on generator save. This is my, I don't know what's wrong with our NEPA, and I don't want to on that generator. And NEPA doesn't want to give us slide like this. Don't understand those people. Okay, so let me give us an example of large spacing. I want to give us an example of large spacing. Let's write something. We will need to. So this class will be more of practical. As I'm explaining, I will be seeing it in practical, so we will understand how spacing actually works. Okay, so we want to talk. We want to give an example of large spacing, right? Let me say large spacing. Let's use this as header. Large spacing. So let's have this as for size, font width, bold. Font width, bold. Okay. Let me have it say. All right, so now let's have a content. Let me just duplicate this content. I want to show an example of large spacing. Let me duplicate this content here. So to check this spacing now, this is 45. Now let's assume I want to put it as 70. We have 8, 16, 24, 32, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, 72, right? So 72. So this is an example of large spacing. When you look at it, this is an example of large spacing. You see that the spacing it is actually large. So this, what I did here is an example of large spacing. So this work mostly when your large spacing works mostly when you are giving your section spacing. Let's assume you are designing a landing page, a simple landing page, and you are going from section to section. Like, oh, for what section on the landing page, let's assume it's a fintech landing page. One section you discussed about credit, right? Like transfer. Okay, let me use transfer. Like you can transfer on the app, blah blah blah. So the next section on the landing page, you want to talk about them that, oh, they can do cardless withdrawal on the app. So now, how do you design this section you use for talking about transfer, that they can transfer on the app? The section you use for that, if the spacing the next section when you want to talk about cardless withdrawal, your spacing should be like, it should be a large spacing, which can be 102, 120, 116. So what I'm just trying to say is that's an example of large spacing when you are trying to go from one section on a page to another. We are designing is from a section to another. That is where large spacing comes in. Let me see if I can share one of my designs just for us to see example of this. This one I'm just using my mouse to explain it. Let me see if I can share it so you can see the large spacing, the example of large spacing. Which design do I have that I can share? Okay, let me share this. Sorry, it's loading. Okay. So this is a design I did for a fintech company in Lekki. I want to show us the large spacing, an example of large spacing. Okay. All right, can we all see it now? Can we all see the design? Okay.
Yes.
So okay, this is the landing page, guys. So on this section now, I actually talk about request for money, right? This is a section on the landing page, like telling the customers, the visitors, that the site visitors, that on this our app, you can request for money from your friends. Okay, now the next section now, I talk about sending money, like you can as well send money to any bank account easily. Now look at the spacing between these sections. I've highlighted this one. Now let me highlight the next one as well. So 120, the spacing here is 120. This is an example of large spacing. Large spacing comes between sections, the spacing between sections on a page. If you know it's like I said, section, not just content, like normal content, like okay, this is like you're going from one section to another section on that same page. That is where you use large spacing. I see the number 120. So do we understand the concept? I just want to explain how large spacing work. Do we understand the content?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm explaining? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so let's go back to okay. So medium spacing, to adapt to a medium amount of information in such as divide. Medium spacing is the one you use between your normal content, just like what we used here for this content. While the small spacing is just to adapt to a small amount of notification, such as body text or elements. So that's let's go to the next one. Principles of spacing. Okay, the next one, horizontal spacing. The second principle is a horizontal axis spacing. For this one, you can set up the grid to divide into the layout. It can ensure the flexibility of the layout design. Occasionally, you can arrange components without following the grid layout. Yeah, I measured something similar to this last week when we were talking about alignment. When someone asked that, is it that it won't get to inside that yeah, where she asked that, is it that the content shouldn't get to inside this wire? And I said, no, the content can get there, that it can get there, what it can get there, even go beyond. What we are referring to, it shouldn't be outside here over this place. So that is actually what I'm talking about here. Now let's talk about white space in UI layouts. I'm sure we do hear about white space, negative space, white space. So what exactly is white space? Talking about white space. What exactly is white space? I think now I have to go and on my generator because my MacBook is getting really low. Let me just guys, give me a few minutes. Let me quickly start this generator. So apologies for that. It's NEPA's fault though. I don't know why they did not give us lights. Let me quickly on this.
All right, it's cool.
Hello guys, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the generator is not coming off. So I guess you have to stop the class when this guy switch off, and then I'll see if this evening, if everyone will be around this evening, so I just continue this evening. Does that work?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
It works
Yes.
for me.
Please,
All
what
right.
time in the evening? Please, what time in the evening?
Okay. Does 4 sound good? 4 p.m.
Yes,
Okay,
4 a.m.
that's fine because I have a presentation by 5.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
4
We can
seems
just
okay.
4. We won't actually take long. So we just start from white spacing, and it won't take long.
Sorry, I don't think it's working for me because I have that class by that time. Will you show the recording?
You say what?
Will you share
To
the
get me a
recording?
recording.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's being recorded. This one we have in presently is being recorded. So
Okay.
by this evening, we'll continue from white spacing. We'll continue from white space.
Yeah, I'm talking of this evening recording. Will you
Yes.
record it?
Yes, we will.
Yeah, sure. It will be recorded also.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a date for 4 p.m. then, right?
Yes, for me.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so okay,
Yeah.
4 p.m. then. All right. All right, guys. Okay, so
Thank
all
you.
right, guys. Bye. See you guys later today.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.